This is Anthony with True Diamond Heart, continuing our video series on meditation and mindfulness. Now, we left off last video talking about the observer and about not taking ourselves personally. The observer is that I, the bigger I, that can stand aside from the trials and tribulations, the triumphs and the traumas of my personal life, the small I, and with the eye of the large I, can see these things as simply happenings being experienced, as opposed to definitive things that make me who I am, that must control how I feel and think and am. No, the thinking and the feeling happens. And as we practice watching from a distance, observing from a distance, more and more we learn to take ourselves impersonally, which means what I am thinking and feeling do not necessarily have to determine how I live, who I really am, how I really think and feel in the long run. The thoughts and feelings at the beginning, before we start this practice, they seem to be in control, and so they are. But as we become observers and mindful of how we're thinking and feeling and what's happening around us, just aware and conscious of what's happening inside and outside, watching, we start to realize that these things are relative and not absolute, meaning it is not necessarily who I am that I'm angry or that I'm with happiness or excitement. It's simply an experience that's passing through. And why is it that when I feel this kind of happiness, it does this for me, and someone else feels that kind of happiness and it just doesn't matter at all? I feel some sort of frustration, and it's this tremendously overpowering experience, and someone else feels and has a frustration that's 10 times, objectively 10 times more difficult, and it doesn't affect me at all. Why? Because I take myself so personally. And yes, of course, if I pinch this, I feel it and that person doesn't. On some level, we all feel it. But when it comes to the emotional, psychological, spiritual truth, which is what determines our quality of life, determines the spaciousness or the crampedness, the imprisonedness or the freedom of our experience, then if we take ourselves personally, then we are in the slavery of what that person, meaning me, is thinking and feeling. If we start to take ourselves less personally and identify more broadly, we'll talk about that next time, more broadly as that which is all that is. Now that will happen automatically. You don't have to try to do that. Just observe, just watch, and you'll start more and more to identify with boundlessness and less to identify with those little circumstances that happen in your little life. Yes, your life is little relative to the extreme, magnificent, unbounded, eternal truth that you have capacity and actually are being called into experiencing and being. Then this little life is just a detail, as are all the other little lives, each demanding and deserving total respect. And yet, let us transcend this little experience, so that this little experience can be part of the magnificent experience. And your quality of life, you'll find that your thoughts and feelings will become more joyful, peaceful, open, loving, truthful, authentic. As you watch them and start to take them less personally, they'll automatically heal themselves. Distance. What heals your head? Does it help when you have a cut on your hand to pick the scab and to be involved? Or does it help to just leave it and let it do its thing? Stay with us as we continue exploring and soon to experience mindfulness and meditation.